What's going on, everyone, and welcome to the Trail Theory Podcast. I'm Brian.
I'm Alex.
I'm Austin.
And I'm Pfeiffer.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Adventure Fest. We're super excited to be here.
We've never
Guys,
had that issue before.
It's different in the studio. Not a lot of feedback when the microphones or the speakers are right in your ears, but we are so excited to be here at the Northeast Ohio Adventure Festival. Super proud to be from Northeast Ohio. This is our backyard. We do a lot of backpacking all over the place, a lot of East Coast. We have a lot of East Coast love, but we're proudly from Northeast Ohio. And there's so many amazing vendors and companies here today that we're excited to spend some time with, so make sure you go and support them. Absolutely. And like we were introed, we're the Trail Theory Podcast. What does that mean? Why are we up here? Why did they give time to these four idiots? I'm not quite sure, but essentially... Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you're right.
You know, what started as a silly little hobby for us in backpacking and being outdoors turned into a full-blown obsession, right? Yeah. I mean, it all kind of started when Austin 4 years ago said, hey, if I went backpacking, would you guys go?
It feels like maybe 18 months ago we started this thing.
It's been years and years and years. It's been a minute. But yeah, it all started with a text message, and it was kind of an obsession that started really fast after the first trip, during the first trip. So we love backpacking, we love being outside, we love being connected to nature and stuff, and this is, I know that we talk about this all the time, but this podcast just became a campfire conversation, right?
Yeah, and I think too, to echo that, we came to backpacking, we kind of came to camping at different points in our lives, and I think we recognized we had all this knowledge that we wanted to share, and with our collective minds thought, hey, there are people that are also in the same scenario, don't know a lot about backpacking, don't know a lot about camping. We can make mistakes and we can share our mistakes and people can learn from them and then go from there.
Well, and let's not kid ourselves. I mean, there is so much good outdoor media out there with incredible experts, athletes,
for sure,
climbers, mountaineers. We're not going to tell you how to solo a cliff. We're not wingsuiting off the top of...
We can tell you how to do it wrong. We can do it wrong. We can tell you a documentary to look at if you really want to get into that kind of thing.
And we'll certainly give you our opinion on it.
That's absolutely true. Guys, we can't fist fight in front of anybody today. We can't edit that out. This is live, so...
True.
We need to keep it a little chill, right?
We'll keep it PG for the kids.
We'll keep it a little PG here since we're out here on stage. But no, I think we like to take an approachable look at what backpacking and outdoor life kind of looks like, right? Because again, we won't sit here and claim to be any kind of serious experts, although we have a lot of experience in straight up backpacking and camping, and we've done a lot of episodes on, planning your first trip.
Yeah.
Picking out a backpack. What does that look like? How does that go? Who are your, experts even locally that you can come and talk to if you're getting fit for a backpack, things like that.
Yeah, I think the thing that we really wanted to hone in on was when we started out, we were trying to find these questions on the internet or trying to talk to other people, going into local shops and talking to people. It's trying to compile all that information that we wish we had right out of the gate and share that kind of content with people. That's kind of what we're about, really.
Yeah, and recognizing from our first time being outside on the trail to now, the things and the knowledge that we have kind of accumulated over that period of time is relatively incredible.
It's insane.
When we think back, right?
Yeah.
I know my biggest mistake the first time we went out.
Cool.
Can you remember yours? I mean, it's stuck in my brain. I can't get it out. It'll never be the same.
Yeah.
I know yours, but I don't.
I mean, my biggest mistake when we first went out is I just poorly chose my shoes and boots. I mean, we're talking canvas, rubber, basically high top
Converse.
I mean, they weren't Chucks, but they were close to being Chucks. They essentially were like Chucks.
They were Charles's.
They were Charles's.
The upgraded version of Chucks.
And I mean, at first I was like, oh, they're broken in. I feel great. This is going to be good. I don't know if anybody here has been to Dolly Sods, West Virginia. That was essentially one of our first big backpacking trips.
It's an
unbelievable place, especially if it's the first time you've ever been backpacking. You want to get out, go somewhere cool. Dolly Sods is highly recommended. We've been back several times, but that first trip, there's a couple splashy zones.
There's like 6 miles of the sods area where it's just wet.
We were bouncing from like little dry spot to little dry spot, but dude, we were getting ankle deep in
you missed that,
the sods.
You're going
Seriously,
It was a squishy carpet that sometimes you went down up to your knee in mud.
well, I was the most ill-prepared when it came to my footwear, and holy smokes, my feet paid for it, that's for sure. You got to take care of your feet, got to keep them dry, and that was like really my biggest mistake. And again, going back to like not claiming to be any kind of experts, these are the kind of things that I wish I would have known and done a little research on before going on. And to be honest, one of my favorite things about doing the podcast that we have, because we've been doing it for about a year and a half, we have a really good community of people who like reach out to us, whether it's like social media comments and messages and emails. We learn a lot of stuff from people too, which is great because we are not scared to just be honest.
Yeah.
To
100%.
be honest on stage.
We're learning
or
every
on
episode. Every episode we're learning something new. And every trip we're learning something new. So
Paul's usually behind the ones and twos, and he's usually doing a little
let's
Googling
welcome
and stuff
Paul
like
here.
that. So.
He's taking a place on the stage in a chair. Usually he's behind the camera, behind the ones and twos.
Give it up for
on the
Paul, everybody.
soundboard. He got upgraded today because our dear friend Pfeiffer decided to go to Puerto Rico. Screw him, we're gonna do this anyways.
Yes, I lost a rock, paper, scissors deal with him of whether he's going to go to Puerto Rico or I'm
Is that what it was? Yeah. One of us had to go to Puerto Rico.
I won and I chose here.
There we go. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for choosing us here today. But
So if you ever message us on social media or social channels, be sure to give Pfeiffer a shout out and a good razzing. If you follow the podcast, you'll understand our sense of humor.
You couldn't even spend any time at the Adventure Festival, dude. Come on, Puerto Rico. No, we love him, and he made a good trip. So
he's dearly missed.
He's dearly missed. Yeah. So again, talking a little bit about us, and then I want to actually get into some gear talk because that's our favorite thing, and from what we've heard, our listeners' favorite thing to talk about. If you go back and listen to our podcast and the episodes that we have, we talk, like I said, a lot about trip planning and things like that. Some of our favorite episodes are freeze-dried taste tests. So anybody who's gone backpacking or done some sort of camping, freeze-dried meals are just everywhere, and there's thousands of different options.
There's so many different options now. There didn't used to be.
It's pretty overwhelming now.
Companies, but there's so many options to go
craft
through.
brands too, and some are really, really good, and some are
okay, and
not good.
Some are gross.
If you want some serious opinions on some freeze-dried food, go back and listen to those episodes because holy smokes, we rip it off, dude. It's pretty serious.
We're pretty honest.
We're very honest. It's very unfiltered. But we're giving you this.
Listen, we're gonna be super nice here on stage and not put any of those companies on blast. But of course, there's some really, really good ones that we love. So Peak Refuel is a top. Bowl and Kettle is small.
Bighorn.
Yeah, Bighorn is another one that's really great. There's so many really good brands. But that idea came from if you know anything about prices of freeze-dried meals and it's not something that you eat every day. It's like 15, 16, 17, 18 bucks for one of these things. And when you're in the backcountry, you don't want to eat something that, obviously you don't want it to taste bad. You want to enjoy yourself after a long, 15, 16, 17 miles out on the trail.
Right.
But you got to watch out for your tummy.
You don't know how that's going to react with you after a long day of hiking, or maybe there's something inside that bowl or bag that doesn't agree with you, and having a stomach issue or a GI issue out on the trail is not very fun.
With no toilet.
I can think of nothing worse.
It's not good. So we try to try as much as we possibly can to kind of review and let everybody know whether it was good or bad.
Well,
not just taste-wise, but how your body reacts.
Of our kind of opinion. I mean, obviously reading a review online, you can certainly gather some good information, but I think we're pretty unfiltered on what we're saying, and then the entertainment factor of finding ones that are either really good or not so good certainly leads to good conversation, and we've learned a lot about what we've taken out on trips based on having those conversations.
There have been some real winners during those episodes, and again, the concept too. We tell our listeners all the time, this is something you should do with people, because again, do you want to spend $18 for a freeze-dried meal that you just to taste and test out, and then buy
I do
it
do
again,
that though.
Maybe a couple times for a couple nights out, split it between some friends, get 3 or 4 bags, everybody taste it and see which ones are good, and bring the ones you love and definitely leave the ones you hate. There have been some really empty bags on episodes.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So anyways, that's a little bit about us, and we are on Spotify, YouTube. I'll talk a little bit later about us starting our Patreon this week. But enough about that. Let's talk some gear.
Yeah, I'm ready for gear talk.
Like I said earlier, our favorite thing is to talk about gear, and not just like reviewing things, like going into the concept of like packing and weight and quality and brands and all that kind of, and pricing, of course. But one of a hot topic in really any backpackers conversation throughout the community is kind of that ultralight versus ultra weight discussion. Brian, can you tell us a little bit about like what does ultralight mean when we see that all over the place, on any of the outlets, websites,
You look at any thru hiker or
influencers.
influencer, they're always talking about having ultralight gear and stuff, and what does that mean?
And everyone's done a gear shakedown where they take that photo of all their stuff. And,
Right.
I mean, it's certainly, I'd say it's a sense of pride for people too, kind of what they can get their pack to.
Absolutely.
Especially on like these long, kind of really challenging trails. They have, you want to be as light as possible.
And what does ultralight mean? Brian, define it for us.
Ultralight is technically, it's a weight that I don't think is an official rule, but it's kind of a guideline. It's your base weight. So base weight of your pack being 10 pounds or less.
So yeah, non-consumable. So you don't include like your food and water.
Anything that you're gonna go through: water, food, fuel, toilet paper, wet wipes.
Well,
baby
that might.
powder.
Some people see again. Some people might consider the wet wipe maybe a little too heavy.
It can be.
If you're trying to get under those 10 pounds, people can get real picky about what they bring
exactly.
on
You
trail.
gotta get real creative.
Yeah, get into leaf mode.
So base weight, your big four, right? You're gonna be looking at your tent. You're gonna be looking at your sleeping bag, your sleeping pad, and then your, what's the other one?
Shelter.
There's
The
4.
tent, backpack. So those are
Yes,
the four
that's
in the
an important
backpack.
one.
And then you talk about the things like, okay, your cooking stove, your pot, and your survival kit, and your knife, and some of those odds and ends and those things. And it all starts to build up, and that all becomes your base weight. And if you are under 10 pounds or at 10 pounds, that you're considered ultralight at that point. It's not super easy to do.
Well, I mean,
the big
right.
the big thing is it worth going to the ultralight side and spending thousands of dollars on your kit to be as light as possible?
Well, it's not
what are
even
the
just
benefits
the
for
pricing.
that?
A lot of it is just the planning that goes into it. So, like, for those who may not have go backpacking all the time or ever packed a pack, 10 pounds of base weight in a backpack is
You become
almost
keenly aware of
impossible.
weight.
It's
for
crazy.
sure.
So like an example, early days when we would go, where we knew a little, but again, weren't experts, didn't have a dozen, 20, 30 trips under our belt.
Right.
I mean, what was our weight for some of these base weights for some of our trips?
Really heavy.
I mean,
40 pounds?
yeah, bro. I mean, that
total-
40 probably
total?
with food and water,
Yeah,
but like,
yes.
that doesn't surprise me. So
I would say around 40 at least.
25 pounds base weight, probably.
I think
would
I was
say.
relatively one of the lighter ones, and I would say
you've
I was
always
at
been
20 or
pretty light out of the
21,
gate.
and it wasn't even like a purpose thing. It was just like, this is the stuff that I like, this is what I packed and was able to
Right.
go. So to go from, let's say, 25 pounds of base weight and lose 15 pounds, there's a lot of things you have to get really, really picky on
Super
and
granular.
specific, right?
Yeah.
Real granular. You
I
gotta
mean,
put it
the
down.
reality is, I think all of us, we all use a service called Lighter Pack, which is a way to basically collect and kind of aggregate all your gear, and you can put in the actual weights of things. And there's a reason why backpackers measure things in grams, because you want to get as light as possible. And I think it's crazy how effective you become in packing, and also recognizing what items are you really worth, like what are worth carrying for the weight, or from a luxury perspective that you actually, okay, this is worth it, I'm gonna take this. For me, like I always take like a puffy jacket, because if I get chilly at night, sometimes it might be a little heavy to take, but it's one of those things that's like a luxury item. But even just kind of looking at all your gear and sometimes like really auditing it hard it's amazing.
Well, you can get a little
remove.
lost in the sauce with it too. I like that you brought up
little.
the website.
A lot.
a lot lost in the sauce.
All the sauce.
I like that you brought up. We have to absolutely talk about this. So there's a really good tool that we use called lighterpack.com.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's
I think it's
lighterpack.com. It's
so
free.
it's a free website, and it's really simple. But essentially, you can load in all of your pack or all your
Your
gear
gear.
into, and you can make like multiple lists, and essentially you can like put, okay, this is the piece of gear it is, this is what it's called, this is how much it weighs. You can put price in there if that's what you care about as
You
well.
can put links to your stuff in there too.
Yep.
We have our lighter packs. We can, if people are interested in what we have or whatever, we can put them in the description below for the people who listen to the podcast. We can come to the booth and talk to us if you're curious about what we're bringing and stuff like that too. We're happy to share that.
And yeah, so like typically like each trip, you know, I have in the lighter pack I guess an index or, you know, a collection of like all my gear, and I kind of piece it out depending on what type of trip I'm going on. Oh, I know it's going to be cold. I know, okay, I got to add my sleeping bag liner, maybe bring my puffy, don't forget a beanie, you know, things like that. So
it also
highly
is a
recommend
great way to do a checklist. It's an awesome way to make sure like you have all your stuff loaded into this thing. It is a great way before you even get to the trail, you're packing your stuff up. You can go through and just make sure, double check, because I've had nightmares a couple nights or a night before we leave for a trip where I get to the trail, I like go through my stuff and I don't have my sleeping bag, and these guys are like, well, you know, I saw a Walmart down the street. We'll meet you at the camp spot. I'm like, wait a second, you guys are gonna wait for me? So I always go through like a fine-tooth comb with that thing, and it's just great to kind of check things off.
You don't want to have to prepare the night before, but if you have to,
just in case.
It's good to at least have a list. I mean, it'd be easier that way.
He's not here to defend himself, but Pfeiffer, our last trip just a couple weeks ago, was literally packing the night before.
Yeah, we were helping him out.
Food, packing his pack.
By candlelight,
Yeah,
by candlelight.
That's right.
Yeah, campfire and candlelight. Yeah, definitely. He's also, again, he's not here to defend himself, so we're gonna rag him a little bit. But he's like definitely one of those backpackers that comes home from a trip and just like throws his stuff in the garage and doesn't touch it until the next one. He's like, oh, we're going on a trip. I better get my stinky underwear out of the pack.
I need to do some laundry. Yeah.
I have to do some laundry for sure.
But I think one of the things that we wanted to touch a little bit on today too, just talking about the ultralight versus an ultra waist, like, does it make sense to spend all this money to get your pack weight down as much as it can be? Like, you know, for instance, I have an ultralight tent from a company called Tart Tent. The tent was like $800. It weighs next to nothing. It's a bigger one-person tent. It's Dyneema, which is a material that's super durable and super lightweight. But like, does it make sense to spend that money in order to get your pack weight down? And like, that's kind of a thing that not just on the podcast that we discuss all the time, but when we're just in front of a campfire together, not on the podcast, just hanging out and talking, that is a discussion that comes up all the time. Is it worth all the investment on getting that weight down?
Well, let's talk about it, right? So like, you know, you talked about the big four, and it's funny, some people, the reason you may have forgotten about the backpack is it's like the key component and the thing that is on your back. That weighs something, so it counts for a lot, you know.
And we're not going to, you know, I guess, rag on any companies or anything like that, but there's companies like, there's companies that have backpacks that weigh from
5-6 pounds,
6 pounds all the way to 2 pounds. So like, there's different backpacks within different lines that these companies have. But if you have an Osprey pack that is built for comfort, that is built with really thick shoulder pads, and it's got the zero gravity back to it and stuff, it's very comfortable. It was the pack that we had the first.
I think all of us kind of started in that camp.
Like,
I still have mine.
You still have yours. It's a great pack.
They make a million packs, and there's something for everybody.
It does weigh 5 pounds. 6 pounds. So you got to figure that into your weight. It's still going to be on your legs for the entire trip, right? So when you think about choosing something like that, do you want to start off with a higher weight count?
Well, I think that's like the beauty of backpacking, though, and thinking about preparing for a trip, though, right? When you talk about all the prep that goes into it and the thinking, right? I think to suggest that you need to be ultralight to have a good time is of course not the point, right?
That is one of the things
we've done this, and we've become a little enamored, I would say, maybe a lot enamored with our gear and our setup. We're interested in it, right? And I think so for us, the challenge of making things as easy and as enjoyable, I think we've talked about this before, just making yourself as invisible as possible from a gear perspective, where if you're not thinking about your gear and you're not thinking about the weight on your back, does that allow you to enjoy yourself a little bit more while you're on the trail? Whereas if you were closer to maybe the 40 pounds like our first trip, that was a little less enjoyable than being, I mean, when you think about 10 pounds over 30, 35 miles, like the enjoyment factor is a bit different. Still amazing to be outside either way.
Yeah, and I think for me, you know, the one philosophy that I've kind of wrapped up with backpacking is that I don't want my gear to be the reason that I have a bad time when
Right.
I'm out in the backcountry, right? Whether it's something that is failing or making it really tough to pack or a drippy tent or something like that, I don't want that. Again, we go back to my biggest mistake that we did the first time we went out with
Exactly.
boots. That made my trip stink. If I would have done a little bit more research and tested out some more boots and things like that, I would have enjoyed my trip. So if I can think less about the things that I bring out there, the better. Does that mean that it has to be ultralight? I think there's a balance.
I don't think it does
Right.
because I think if you think about this, I was really keen on to being ultralight. I wanted to be an ultralight backpacker.
You went
I went through a lot
stage,
of stuff,
bro.
dude. A lot
Ultra
of stuff.
Brian.
There's a saying, there's a name for people who are obsessed with counting grams in the backpacking community. If you don't know it already, it's called a gram weenie.
Yeah.
And
That was
Brian
me.
was a little bit of a gram
Brian's
weenie
picture
for a
shows
while.
up,
sure.
So, and maybe us calling him a gram weenie is why he maybe stopped.
I think it just became, I just wanted to be more comfortable on the trail. I also had things where ultralight doesn't mean that it's ultra durable either. It's sometimes the exact opposite.
Heard.
So if you have like, I had a sleeping pad that weighed, I think it was 8 ounces.
Crazy
And it
light.
packed up to like, it was the size
It's
of
like
my
a
fist.
tissue.
It was wild. I won't say the company name, but it was very, very light. It was about 1.5 inches thick. It was really loud because a lot of that ultralight material is kind of crinkly, right? So
It's
if
like a bag of one of those chips, sun chips, a
Sun chips,
crunchy
yeah.
They were
bag. Yeah.
made biodegradable, but people didn't like that they were loud, so they stopped doing it.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But it also wasn't as durable, and I had a hole in it, and I couldn't figure out where the hole was to fill it while we were on the trail, and that means you're sleeping on the ground. And a lot of times when you're in the backcountry and you don't get to pick your spot, or it's not going to be super level, you got a root underneath you, or there's rocks or something like that, that's a harder night's
Adapt
sleep.
and overcome.
That's a harder night's sleep. So
And-
ultralight doesn't mean better. It can just, the thing that I think that my key thing when I think about ultralight gear is what these guys were alluding to is I don't want to think about what is on my back, what's on my legs the entire time. I want to forget about that whole thing so I can enjoy just being outside. So I can enjoy maybe getting more miles in, right? Because if you've got a lighter pack, you're going to be less fatigued physically. It's just easier. You get to camp, you're not your feet aren't barking.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Your legs aren't cramping up or whatever.
Well,
but
right, and I think a lot of times too, when it comes to ultralight gear, sometimes the weight is nominal.
yeah,
You know, where it's you might be spending a premium to just shave a couple ounces. And some people, it's definitely worth it. I think
Right.
there's a lot of industries out there, and not just in outdoor gear or in backpacking or anything like that. There's a lot of industries where you have to pay a pretty big premium to get just a small percentage better. And for some people, that's great. I'll use a really good example. So, like, if anybody likes whiskey out there, you could find 100 different bottles that taste really good for like $40, $45
yeah.
that you're not spending hundreds of dollars. But to get maybe that little bit of extra quality that you like, it may not be much of a percentage, but the price goes way up.
Right.
It's
It's kind of like
sometimes
where do you
worth
put
it.
your value though, right? Right. Like is it comfort? Is it weight? Because you're totally right. Sometimes an extra 4 grams or an extra half pound gets you all the comfort in the world. And it's like you'd be willing to carry all that comfort for that weight, right?
Right, 100%. And I think a good example, I've talked about, we've argued a little bit. We're going to be so nice in front of you guys. I'm so sad if you want to see us argue a little bit, or at least make fun of us a little more.
Just go to the
Come by the booth later.
But, like,
We'll argue
yeah,
over something.
honestly, come by the booth. You know, I've talked a lot about, I have an issue with like the $20 titanium spoon.
do, man.
Right? I think I'm like, in my mind, I'm like $20 for a spoon. I know it could last me forever. It's ultralight, all this kind of stuff. But in my heart, I'm like, man, what I did for a long time is I've got kids. I would just go steal a baby fork out of the drawer and take that with me. And that was my ultralight thing. And so that was a little bit of my beef. It's like, man, I don't know if I want to spend this premium for a sport. You know what I mean? But
Right.
it's a great piece of gear that's nice and light, will last you forever. So
I've had mine since the first trip. So
Well, there you go. See,
I mean, if you don't lose it,
The cost per trip is like cents.
yeah,
It's
right.
an investment. I mean, it's an investment on a spoon or a fork.
That's right.
Or a
yeah.
spoon.
But
Well,
all
you're
of
playing
it
the
is
long
really-
game if you're going with a titanium sport.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of curious because I think this changes from trip to trip, and as we evolve our packs, as we evolve the gear, and we evolve all that stuff, I think that it changes a lot. But I'm curious to see if you were to tell everybody out here and people listening in the back, like if you were looking for a piece of gear that you really wanted to get lighter, and you were looking to invest your money into, what would you recommend to those people?
Yeah.
What gear is the most, or
Yeah.
if you can't pick at least then do
Well,
two.
I'll tell you one that I have switched out that has been huge for me, and it actually is the tent.
Yeah.
Because tents are tough. Tents are funny because they take up a lot of real estate in a backpack. You know, some of the more heavier ones can be even bulky as well. So my idea when going in and looking for a tent was more real estate than weight. But I did go with a brand. It's called Tarp Tent. I'm a huge fan of it. We actually both have that brand, and it's a pound, right? It's really, really lightweight. It fits super well in my pack, and that's been a game changer because I'm able to then, you know, pack a little differently, maybe bring some extra creature comforts that I wouldn't normally have brought because I am killing some weight. Yeah, like a pillow or something like that. We can't get started on creature comforts because
it's a whole different animal.
That's a whole other animal. But
I'm all about the sleep
But
system.
essentially, like that's what I was hoping to gain was a little bit of weight and flexibility to bring some stuff that I don't normally bring, I guess.
And I think too, when you talk about our obsession with gear and kind of our fine tuning of it, when you talk about a tent, right? A tent is such a hypercritical piece of being out in the wilderness because you obviously. It's your shelter. If it's windy and you need to get some rest, you need to be in there. If it's raining, if there's inclement weather, you need
to get out of the
good
sun.
shelter, right? And I think there's so much out there that you can, there's a cost to entry for certain brands, but I think when you talk about weight, like even at a pound for a single tent, you're not sacrificing the safety and the security of that.
Sure.
Like that's one of those instances where high cost, but like value in comfort and in weight is like you get both there, right? Which is an amazing piece about some of this gear, and that's I think for me a lot of times why I'm always so researched on specific things.
If you're at a pound per person, or like if you have a one-person tent, you're at a pound, or maybe just a hair over. That's really good. You get a two-person tent, a three-person tent. If the two-person tent's 2.5 pounds, that's a super solid weight for a tent like that. So I know you've got a three-person tent.
Yeah.
And that's about what 2.5, almost 3 pounds.
I think it's just shy of 3 pounds, but two of us share it.
The
so
best
we got
way,
the extra space.
The best way, what they're saying is the best way to shave pounds is bring a friend that has a tent.
That is true.
Yeah.
There you go. You just killed 2 pounds right off.
You lop weight off, and you're lopping your dollars off there too.
There you go.
Savings all around.
It's like they're saying, like, don't be the guy that owns the boat, be the guy that's friends with the guy that owns the boat. It's the same way with tents.
Absolutely. That's so cool.
Well, you talk like about getting really like granular with weight. You know, my mind always goes to thru hikers and how they are challenged with ultralight gear because there's some folks that would like they don't want to spend that money, but they still want to be ultralight. For them, a tarp could be the ultralight option. You know, it could be really light. It's just a tarp that folds up. You don't spend that much money on it.
You don't spend a ton of time setting it up at camp because usually those guys and girls just they want to get to camp, they want to get up, they want to go to sleep, and then wake up the next day and they have something very easy to put in their pack afterwards.
Super easy to set up, super easy to take down.
Super nice for that.
You know, and when you are through hiking, let's say you're doing the Appalachian Trail and you're out there for months at a time, you had those people have just a little bit of extra. Like I can sleep under a tarp and be perfectly fine for these next months. Plus,
that's
obviously they get a lot of
their
too,
comfort threshold, right?
Threshold's
I don't know if I want to sleep under a tarp. I would, but it wouldn't be my top choice from a value perspective of gear. So
was tent yours too? Would you be tent too if you were to recommend to somebody?
I think if you were really looking at weight to value, I would say either tent or backpack.
Yeah, agreed. What would you? Yeah, tent or backpack? Tent or backpack, I think tent or backpack too. Just because you guys have said tent, I'm going to go with the backpack because that is what you're going to be wearing the whole time. So I think it's super important to not only have a pack that is not crazy heavy. Sometimes all the bells and whistles are cool because you have a bunch of different pockets and a bunch of zippers and stuff like that. But that can also be problematic on the trail where you have something malfunction and now you're out, you can't close that zipper, you have things falling out or whatever, so sometimes simple is best.
Yeah, less is ultimately, in my opinion, better, right? Less zippers, less room for error.
To me, I think the number one thing when you're looking at the pack, though, is going to be the fit. There's different sizes for different people. Some packs are going to be better for others. You know, I've got technically a frame pack, but it's only got two little stays in the back of it that are on the inside, so the pack actually sits right up flush against your back. It can be a little hotter, but it weighs a lot less. It's just like it's just basically a tube, right? That you just can shove all your stuff into.
And like you said, with sizing, you know, with a backpack choosing two, it's more of your torso height than it is your actual height. So we always recommend, like, you can measure yourself, but seriously, go and find your local expert. I know we have Appalachian Outfitters here. They'll definitely help you with like trying to find a pack and seeing what fits the best. Try it out. Again, that was my going back to my boot mishap. I wish I would have tested that more out. You definitely have to do that with your backpack and get the right thing.
I'm glad you mentioned Appalachian Outfitter, because they actually have simulations you can do when you're there. They have packs that are along the wall. You can actually put weight in it, so you can feel what it is going to be like with it on your back, which is really nice.
That's amazing.
That's why our local retailers and stuff like that are so great, because they can really help in
they have
you the information
expertise to really get you into something that's going to feel comfortable.
Absolutely.
And again, even to some degree, some of those facts and figures about fit, right? It's got to feel good on your body, especially if you're going to go, 20, 30 miles, and you're going to sleep on the ground for 2 or 3 nights, or, you know, if you're doing a longer hike, it's probably even more critical. So, having that expertise of a local shop or folks and experts is incredible.
Yeah, right. I agree.
And another, like, you know, through hiker hack, you know, could be with ultra light backpacking is, you know, like I said, with like, I took a kid spoon. I mean, you can grab a plastic spoon from Wendy's or something like that and bring it to it. That is nominal weight, right? It is like, you know, nothing, and it's resourceful. And, you know, these guys are trying to cut so much, especially the ones that it might be trying for like a fastest known time, whether it's like supported or not. You know, being as light and nimble as possible is important. And again, we are mostly weekend backpackers. We are not pros. We're not out there trying to crush time.
Section hikes and stuff like that. But yeah, we're not doing
not
through
the
hikes
one.
right now.
You know, ultralight isn't our number one topic, but it is important again to, like, you know, for us to be comfortable and a little nimble while we're out there.
I definitely go creature comforts when I talk about like adding weight to my pack. It's in my sleep system. I want to make sure that I'm on a really good like air mattress. I want a really nice, comfortable, rated for temperature sleeping bag or a sleeping quilt. And then I have a pillow that I bring that's from Nemo that is it's got some foam top to it, which is really nice.
Guys,
but you can inflate the back of it to make it bigger. And it's
huge.
It's big.
It's too big for backpack.
But I have slept so much better on the trail because of that thing.
You wake up ready to go for the next day.
Which is huge. Absolutely.
It's really waking up like the next day. I mean, your body has just gone through it, so you're sore. So
yeah, good night's sleep definitely makes a big difference.
It's so funny that you mentioned like your sleep system. When you hang out with enough backpackers and you go on enough trips and talk gear enough times, multiple pieces of the same piece of gear start popping up.
Oh yeah.
We all use the same sleeping pad now.
Yes, we do.
The Nemo Tensor.
Yeah.
It's just too good of a piece of gear. There are some pieces of gear that are just too good. And there's, you know, that's one that has just made its way in.
Yeah, I agree. Nice. Well, we are kind of running out of some time here.
Are we wrapping up?
I'm going to wrap up a little bit here.
Wow.
And I
Time
know
flies.
it's crazy.
So
quick.
a little bit of, you know, we want to do a little bit of self-promotion since we are out here, and somebody decided to give us a microphone, so we're going to talk a little bit about ourselves. Like we said, we're the Trail Theory Podcast. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, all the places that you can get podcasts.
Wherever you internet.
Yeah, basically.
Wherever you
We're
internet,
there.
Yes. You know, this week we actually announced that we launched a brand new Patreon. You know, right now we have a simple supporter tier, but we're going to be doing future tiers for product. We've made a lot of cool gear that we've just started releasing. We are over in the tent in the corner where we'll have t-shirts. We actually have co-branded coffee with Heartwood. I don't know if you guys know who Heartwood is. They're amazing. You can pick up a bag of Trail Theory beans. We have stickers. T-shirts, but also just come hang out. We like talking gear. We like talking the trail. We love being around the community. Also, if anybody has never been on a podcast before and they want to do a little podcasting,
little micro podcasting,
we have the studio set up in the booth. big time shout out to the vendors too. If you guys want to come over and talk about your product with us, our community, come out and do that. And I think it would be a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, we floated the idea, pun intended, to float the river of doing a podcast on the river at some point this summer. So
give us a couple rafts. We want to do a podcast on the river.
We're gonna do it.
Shout out
this
to
year's
that.
the year. Yeah, awesome. So guys, we really appreciate everyone coming out and hanging out with us for a little bit. I'm gonna say this just because we have to say it for each of our episodes we do. For everyone that's virtual right now, if you haven't already, please subscribe, hit the like button. It really helps us out, grow our family, grow our community. If you guys aren't following us on any of those platforms, we would really, really appreciate that. It helps us build, again, our community up, and that's what we're kind of all about. We love talking to people that love being outside, and that's our number one, whether it's gear, whether it's trails, where to go. We just love that kind of stuff, so we definitely appreciate that kind of.
More stories, more community, more gear jokes, all good.
Exactly. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. We're excited to hang out with you for the rest of the day, and have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday.
We'll see ya.
The Trail Theory Podcast is sponsored by Audimute and Audio Technica. Music by Dan Koch.